Hi everyone, and welcome back to Bluegrass Dreams to Seams. Today is Sunday and I'm already dressed and ready to go out for the day, but I wanted to try to get this videoed this morning while I'm rested. So this is Bluegrass Dreams to Seams, and my name is Cheryl, and it is mostly a sewing channel, but from time to time I do share about knitting. And the reason I've been away is because this is that week I told you about that was kind of messed up. I'd be up close to Ohio and then I'd be down in Nashville for two different things. And so this is my little bit of life. This week we had, early in the week, we had a young man that we're friends with his parents. He's in a minor league baseball team, and we wanted to go see him play in Florence, Kentucky. So we went up there to see him play. Awesome player. Uh, he has his off nights, but for the most part, he is a really, really good player, and we really enjoy watching him in the field as well as at bat. So we went to see him along with a few other people we're friends with. And then surprisingly, some kids from a class he helped with this past winter, their parents brought them up to see him play ball. It was so special, and we really enjoyed seeing them as well. They were so excited. It was just wonderful. So that was a great 2 days that we spent there. Came home, had maybe less than, uh, I don't know, 14 hours, 15 hours here at home. And we got in the car and left and went to Nashville to see our granddaughter in her recital, her dance recital. So, of course, we're a little partial. We thought she was wonderful, but she's at that cute little age, when the little ones, of course, they're a little bit older this year. So, for the most part, they didn't need a lot of help from their teacher to know what step came next. Most of them had kind of remembered the pattern, but every now and then you'd catch them glancing over there, and they'd be just a little bit out of time with the music and everybody else. So it was just kind of cute when they're first learning to dance. I think one of my favorite dances was some of the older dancers did the whole Frozen series of songs. It was really beautiful, a little lengthy, but it was very, very beautiful, and I enjoyed that very much. That was down there in Nashville, close to Mount Juliet. Okay, so this week, what I've been working on, and it's not finished because I've been gone, is Butterick 5186. And somewhere here it is. I have the line drawings for you on the pattern directions. You get 2 pages, but one of them is actually in English and the other are in 3 different languages. So here's mostly what you're going to see in the directions is this view here. This view is shown only when they add that extension to the sleeve. And this view is only shown when they're talking about hemming this because the pedalum is not added. So, or the ties. But mostly you see this one here, right here with no sleeves. It's just slightly off the shoulder. And I had it in my head that if you have a dart, like at the beginning of the video, you saw that big front, that was the front piece of this pattern, and it's like the front, the back, the ties, and the pedalum, and of course this piece here that's actually your facing. I just had in my head, it's got darts. You work those darts first, and you'll probably do some little stitching to help enforce a corner, because most of the time that's what you do. But not in this case. And I looked for where it talked about the dart, but I couldn't find it. I think I was just reading over it. So we're going to talk about these first 4 steps because the dart is in the 4th step. So don't work your dart too quickly. If you have this pattern and you see this and now you've kind of like, I think I want to make that, I want to give you some tips that have helped me in the past that I learned from, I think, Jenny from the Big Sew Along, maybe also Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room. I watch both of them frequently, um, every week. So anyway, the first thing you're going to do, of course, is reinforce your dot that's right here in this corner. This is your under collar, and this is that little bit of sleeve on that view that I told you was mostly illustrated. And then you're going to work the seam for the under collar. So far, so good. That's easy. Anybody can do that. And then even this part here where you stitch the upper part of those, what's actually your shoulders. On the view they're showing you is actually the shoulders. And if you go back to that picture right here, you can see it's just the shoulders that you're stitching. But you're stitching to a dot, a very important little dot. So make sure you stop at the dot, and you'll be fine. So you see where the threads are showing there. There's where you made that seam. So you've got your back and your two fronts right here, and you're doing that little bit of seam right there. And then you get to the darts. Now, my suggestion, because I've seen this before with different people who work this kind of putting the backs and fronts together at the back neck, because you're creating that under collar when you do this, I would stitch from this dot to that dot to get that kind of in place, and then go back and do this dart from the dot to the bottom of the dart, and dot bottom of the dart. Now, if you're a little hesitant about that back, you can always start at the seam, which you can see right here. This seam is I'm talking about, and go out to the dot, start at the seam, go out to the dot. Just remember to overlap your stitches just a little bit there. It's on the underside. If you get a little bit off, no one's going to see it, so don't worry about it. But that's my tips for working that. And when I do this again, at least now I know where the darts are worked. It is hidden because it's underneath this big wonkin' collar. So there's your dart right there, but the collar covers it. Now, my fabric I got from Muppin Sewing Emporium in downtown Paducah about 1.5 years ago. And when I saw it, I loved it because the fabric had it was kind of the way it was woven. It had this little square in it, square design, and that's why I liked it. But really, you can't see it unless you get really close, and then you see it. But it's just kind of a neat little weave. It made it interesting, and I wanted to use this. Of course, quilting fabric's not very wide, 44, 45 inches, and I think this was 44 inches wide. So to get that big piece that was the front, what I had to do was unfold the fabric, single layer the width of the fabric, about 1 yard, and I took another yard cut that I had gone back and gotten because I was a little afraid I might not have enough fabric at the time when I bought it. It's a good thing because that was what saved me on this shirt. I put it on top and made sure my pattern matched, and then I put the pattern down, pinned real well, and then I cut it out. So this is the result. I was able to get the front parts of the blouse or shirt that way. This one will have one button that goes about right here. And of course, I love the ties. The ties are in the side seams and only right here, so that it doesn't go across the back like the last one I made. And then it has this peplum, which I still have to sew in place, as well as do the hem and the sleeves. Now, my sleeves, you're saying, why are they so long? I did not take out any of the fabric that is mentioned on the pattern. I just left it because I thought, why take it out and then add pieces? So to me, it made more sense. Just keep this length, and I'll put in a deep, I'll put in a 3-inch or whatever, I'll put in a deep hem, and then I'm going to fold it up and make a cuff. And to me, it's just as cute. So that's my plan. So that's that pattern and what I have to say about it. I do think I'll really enjoy wearing this. Navy blue, black pants. It's going to look great. So I'm very happy with this pattern, and I'd love to make it in linen. what else have I been doing? Well, on my trip to Cincinnati, I did go by Silk Road Textiles, which is one of my favorite yarn fabric stores. They carry more hobby fabrics, but they do carry a good selection of fashion fabrics that when you go in the back door, because the parking lot's in the back, you go in, you see them immediately, and they have them on like those racks like you usually see drapery and upholstery put on. They have them there. Now, what I really was looking for was some more of those Robert Kaufman knits because I do like them. They sew up well. They're really pretty prints. But in this case, sometimes I like the print, but I didn't like the colors. Or I like the colors, but I didn't like the print. So I didn't buy any of those. Kept going down, and on the very last one on the front toward the cutting table, she had a whole row of rayons. And one kept catching my eye, and I decided I'm going to buy that. It was $18 a yard. I didn't think $18 a yard for fabric that's 54, 55 inches wide was really that bad of a price for rayon. The top I had in mind, I thought, you just need like a yard and a half and you've got your top. But now I'm thinking I might want to get some kind of a goldish brown color maybe to go with it. So here's my fabric. It is directional. Another reason why I bought a yard and a half. And let me get it the right way. In the description box, I'll put all the details about this fabric. So if you want some, you can probably find it somewhere else. But here it is. So you see that moth kind of in there, and it's got that bit of goldish brown color in it. I just think it's lovely. It is like a kind of a bluish gray background in it. And I love all the botanical look in it. So it's just so pretty. So I'm thinking about remaking a top that I made before, although I'm not completely sold on that one. There's another boxy kind of Sew House 7 pattern that I might go back and see if I can use rayon on it. If not, I'll go right back to the one I know I can and make it again, because I'd like to narrow the shoulders and make it to fit me better. But I think that I'll love it. So that has to be washed. I'll get that done sometime today, probably. Now, another thing I did was I purchased some Simplicity McCalls Vogue. You know, I placed an order with simplicity.com before the big announcement. And right after that announcement, I thought, I still don't have my patterns. It took 2 weeks for me to get these patterns. Matter of fact, after the first week, not seeing that they'd ever been shipped, I actually sent them an email. And it took about 3 or 4 days for them to get back to me, said that they were in the process of working on my order. And I kept waiting and waiting. Well, guess when my shipping notification came to me? The day after I received them. They're in the mail. Here's your tracking number. And I'm like, I got them yesterday. So something's kind of lagging behind there. And I guess now we all know what's going on. But I'm a little disappointed that it's come to this point, because I do love buying a pattern occasionally. There were a couple that I had my eye on. And there was one time when this pattern by Simplicity first came out that I thought, I really want that. Now, I will probably make it out of a solid. I won't make it out of stripes, although I think it's beautiful in those stripes. That is really pretty. And I do know that there's somebody on Instagram that I follow has made it in the black and white stripes, and it's beautiful. But she has the figure for it. I don't. But I think that if I made it out of a solid, maybe a chambray, I would kind of like that. So if you see that view too, I don't like the short sleeves. I do love the long ones. So that's what I'm kind of thinking I'm going to do, is make like a chambray dress. But Simplicity 3098. And again, these are on sale. I think this one is $6.99 or $5.99, maybe $4.99. I've been on there today looking again. So if you want this pattern, it is still available. You might want to jump at the chance of getting it right now. Just be aware that it might take 2 to 3 weeks to get your stuff. I also decided to pick up this McCalls pattern because I love the sleeve. And if you look at the back, you can kind of see that it's different. So I decided to pick this one up. It's McCalls, 8580. I just think that's really, really pretty. So I could also make it longer, which is always good for me. Okay, and then one reason I got on there was they was having a vintage pattern prices, and so I picked up this vintage Vogue pattern that I just love that too. And this is 1809 or 1809, and it was initially released in 1947. So this was released, of course, before I was born, but I just think it's lovely. My mother was probably a teenager when this pattern came out. Makes me wonder if she might have made it for herself. And then I kind of share a love with Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room for Laura Ashley patterns. I don't buy them all, but I do love them. And also Jessica McClintock. I love her designs as well. We both grew up about the same time. I don't think there's that many years between us, if there's any at all. So I saw this and I thought, you know, I really like the top, and I kind of like that skirt because you always wear that under or whatever, and they show, of course, in the line drawings all this. So this is McCalls 8306, Laura Ashley, which I think this was probably, released in the 80s. That's about the time I was a young mother and so busy with kids, I never had any time to sew. So I kind of went through a period of there where I rarely even got to the fabric store to buy anything. And if I was buying anything, usually I would run in real quick and buy a Vogue pattern. I barely looked at anything. That's before we had computers. I didn't have time to sit down and look at a catalog. I would zip through, look at the new fashions. If it caught my eye, I bought it. And that was when Hancock's of Paducah still sold patterns and still sold fashion fabric. But in the early 90s, he started gradually switching over to all quilt fabric, and he got rid of all the patterns, all the trims, anything to do with fashion sewing left. So I lost my garment store that I just loved, and I helped build that store. Really did disappoint me. So happy sewing, everyone, and I'll see you next week, hopefully with a pair of pants and some kind of top. Bye for now.